You can be saying, I love you all of the time and still have a marriage where one or both of you feels like you're not seen, feels like you're not valued. And what you truly need throughout the duration of your entire marriage, especially as parents, is gratitude.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about what is even more impactful and important for you to say than I love you in your marriage. So if you are wanting to feel more connected, if you are wanting more connection and intimacy in your marriage, if you're wanting more joy, more partnership, these 2 words go so much farther than saying I love you. And that's thank you. That's words of appreciation. That's recognition. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how while saying I love you can be important, not all couples say this all the time. And over time, when you're saying I love you, it can lose its effect. Kind of like how it was a big deal when you first said it to each other, but over time, when you start saying it on a regular basis, saying I love you in passing, say I love you when you're leaving, it kind of loses its weight, right? Meanwhile, you can be saying I love you all of the time and still have a marriage where one or both of you feels like you're not seen, feels like you're not valued. And what you truly need throughout the duration of your entire marriage, especially as parents, is gratitude. Okay. So in this episode, we're going to explore what research has shown us in how gratitude does way more for your marriage than you might think, and that you can get more out of weaving in gratitude and appreciation in your marriage than just relying on hearing those 3 words or saying those 3 words. Okay. So here's the problem with I love you and how it's not always enough in your marriage. I love you can become super routine in your marriage. And it can even be vague. Like, what does that even mean? I love you. Okay, great. I love my kids. I love people that I am friends with. But we expect more and want more out of our partnership than we do with other people in our lives, right? And I love you could mean a lot of different things. We could say I love you just because we want to remind you that I love you. And we can say I love you because we feel like we should say I love you, or the other person wants us to say it, but it doesn't really get more specific than just love. Meanwhile, with gratitude, it recognizes effort and intention and your heart, and it helps make people feel seen. It makes them feel important. It makes them feel appreciated, valued, things that we need to feel like we're in a healthy relationship, things that we feel like we need to want to continue being in this relationship, that this relationship feels fulfilling to us. So I will say that majority of my clients, when they first start working with me, this is something that they struggle feeling. They feel like they aren't seen by their partner. both male and female, okay? It's going on both sides. And they also feel like their efforts aren't appreciated, or that their efforts are being unnoticed and even dismissed sometimes because there's other stuff going on, because there's resentment. But when we work together and they start to notice more on how they're impacting their partner, right? Not just pointing the finger and saying, well, I'm not getting these things from them, therefore I'm not happy. And that's why I'm behaving this way, or that's why I don't want to be intimate with them, or that's why our conflict is so difficult to get through. The more we can be cognizant of how we're impacting our marriage, our partner, you can start to see that gratitude is often missing, right? Gratitude and respect. But for the purpose of this episode, we're diving into gratitude because respect is a whole other thing. Okay. So there's even research that's been done that show that gratitude predicts marital satisfaction more than love. Love is more like, okay, I feel this, whereas gratitude is an active thing in your marriage, right? Gratitude is actually recognizing someone's efforts, someone's intentions, and sharing with them, hey, I notice that you did a lot for this, or I notice that you've been doing more of this, or I noticed that you've been really trying in this one area. And as someone that specializes in communication, and I talk all day about how important it is to have healthy communication, gratitude actually tops communication when it comes to being a strong predictor in relationship satisfaction. Because if you think about it, you can navigate communication with someone, but if you don't feel seen, if you don't feel appreciated or valued, that's going to make communication worse, right? I've said it time and time again, communication requires connection for communication to go well. When you're not connected, you are not going to be motivated to reach for those healthy communication tools. You're not going to be motivated to be patient, compassionate, understanding, curious. You're going to jump straight into those unhealthy / toxic communication habits that we all have in us because past generations didn't have the tools that we have today when it comes to healthy communication. But when we feel like we're satisfied in the marriage, aka when we feel connected, or if we feel like that sense of gratitude is there, we know that our spouse values us and our spouse knows that we value them in their contributions and the role that they play in our relationship and keeping it strong, we will stay emotionally connected and we will be more resilient and we'll be able to tackle communication so much better. So even something as simple as thanking each other for the little things that you do every single day. Like yesterday, our 5-year-old was having a really hard time going to bed. She thought she wasn't tired, but we could see the signs that she was overtired. And she was just like bringing up every single thing to avoid going to sleep. And we had to tag team. But it was like this unsaid thing. I heard that he was struggling. So then I tagged him out. And then when I had enough, he noticed that I was struggling and then he tagged back in. And after that, we high-fived each other like, yes, we did it. Thanks for stepping in. Thanks for helping out, whatever. But like, even something as simple as that, even something as simple as like, yeah, we're quote unquote supposed to do that. That's what partners are supposed to do. We still thank each other. Why? Because we don't have to do those things. And we appreciate that it did happen. And we recognize that it made the situation better. We recognize that it helped us and our emotional and mental well-being to have someone step in and say, hey, I see you. I noticed that you're struggling right now and I got it from here, right? Or even as simple as this daily practice that my family has that we started many years ago, where we each thank each other for the part that we played to have dinner together. So the kids will start off by saying, "Thank you for making dinner, mommy." And I will say, "Thank you for setting the table." Or more specifically, what each person did. So, like, thank you for getting the plates out. Thank you for setting the utensils if they're being done by two different people. And then after we all work together to clean up dinner, I will say, "Thank you for clearing the table off." So do I need to? No. Is it expected of them to do this? Yes. And I know that it's helpful to the relationship for me to recognize their efforts and not take it for granted. Because when we start to do a bunch of things and we don't feel seen, and I know I'm speaking to the choir about this, right? Because this is a podcast designed for women. Even though I work with couples and one-on-one, this podcast is for women. So I know as moms, societally, we have a lot of expectations put on us. And I know that we tend to be the one that is really desiring that gratitude from other people. But we know how impactful it is when we get that from people, when we get that recognition from our spouse, when we get that recognition from our kids. It's like fuel to keep going because it's being appreciated. We're not being treated like a servant. But even if you have a house employee, they also deserve to be appreciated. They also deserve to have their efforts recognized and verbalized as gratitude. Okay. So when we express appreciation on a regular basis, daily, multiple times a day, this actually does more than just recognition. It actually also deepens your connection. It deepens the intimacy that you share between each other, whether it's with your spouse or your kids. But we're going to focus on the spousal part. When we express appreciation, like, "I really appreciate how hard you work for the family. I really appreciate when you take care of the things that I really don't want to do, like taking out the garbage." Or, "I really appreciate you staying on top of our finances." Or, "I really appreciate you making sure the car is always maintained," right? Like anything like that, anything that you benefit from, either from not doing yourself or you reap the rewards of having it taken care of by someone other than you, a thank you goes a long way because this combats that feeling of resentment from the person doing it. This also combats conflict going haywire. When we feel valued and seen, we're more likely to give the benefit of the doubt. We're more likely to be calm during conversation. We're more likely to be motivated to work together as a team because we are functioning as a team. When we think about teams, there's morale that needs to be upkept. If there's no morale, then the team is not going to function very well. And in your marriage, you are a team, right? So if you're wanting more partnership, introduce more gratitude into the mix. Now, I will say that more often than not, the females in the relationship tend to be the ones who are like, "I dish gratitude all the time and I am not getting it back. And so I'm feeling resentful and I don't want to feel resentful. So how can I get more of that from my partner without feeling like I'm demanding it or nagging?" And first of all, I want to commend you for recognizing that this is important to you. And yeah, you do need it. It is important. And I want you to feel appreciated too. You deserve that much. And so the best way to do this is to approach the conversation with a non-blaming approach. Okay. This sounds like, "Hey, I really love showing you how much I appreciate you and the things that you do for our family, like, XYZ." Give very specific examples. That helps. And it means a lot when I hear it too. I know that we might share how we love each other differently, but I feel a lot more connected to you when I am receiving those words of appreciation about the things that I do and about how I'm being as a wife and a mom here and there. And so, even if you're saying thank you for making dinner, or thanks for making sure that the kids have the right size of clothes all the time, or thanks for getting the kids ready for school, that matters to me more than maybe I let on. So if you frame it that way, where you're asking for what you want and you're sharing the impact, you're going to prevent it from feeling like it's a demand, like it's a complaint. Because you're not saying, I wish you would do this more, or why can't you, or no one appreciates me here. Why do I do everything? Like the typical stuff that we would say, because that's what we heard from generations past. That's also what's perpetuated in shows and movies. But if you flip it around and you focus on what is it that I want more of, and why do I want more of that, rather than what they're not doing or what you don't like, that's going to yield a much more successful outcome for you. And instead of complaining about it and making him feel like he's not enough, instead you're going to be like, hey, here's the key to keeping me happy. Here's the cheat sheet on what can boost our relationship up to the next level. Okay, so then you're just sharing more about what you're learning, about what you want, and how to be in a great relationship with you, like a training manual, versus blaming and criticizing for him doing his best, right? So you can even just say, like, hey, even if it's just like one thing a day, it would make such a big difference for me. I would feel more connected to you, and it would just mean the world to me. Just like that. Okay. So here are some simple ways that you can start expressing gratitude, or share simple ways of expressing gratitude that you can start today. Things like saying thank you for small, consistent things. Like I said, even as consistent as thanks for taking the kids to school, thanks for making dinner, thanks for getting the groceries. Anything that you didn't have to do, that you appreciated that you didn't have to do, that's worthy of a thank you. Thank you for catching that laundry needed to be done before it started overflowing out of the hamper. Or leave a note, send a text. There's lots of different ways that you can express your gratitude that can really light up you or your partner's day. And make it a point to have it be routine. So if you're not going to sprinkle it throughout the day, maybe at the end of the day, you can share what you appreciated about your partner, about each other during pillow talk. Like that's an option too. You can get really creative around this. All I want for you to do is to have more satisfaction in your relationship. And gratitude is the way to go. Okay. Gratitude is how we show love in real time. It turns noticing into connection. Because I'm sure that you do notice the things that your partner is doing from time to time. Take it a step further and express your appreciation and gratitude for the thing that you're noticing. Okay. So my challenge or invitation, whatever you are more motivated by, is to try to express at least one gratitude a day. Okay. And if you're craving more gratitude, muster up the courage to have that conversation, but do it through the lens of love and wanting to help your partner be the partner that you need for yourself, for your marriage to thrive. Okay. And then just watch and notice your connection start to deepen. Okay. If you try this, tag me in a story. Let me know that you did this so I can celebrate you, or send me a DM if you're more private about that. And that's it for this episode. If you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share this with them. Better yet, tag me in stories and share it with your friends. so I can send you a personal thank you note in your DMs. And if you love this show, I would so appreciate it if you would leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. And I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.